Good evening and welcome to the first live Chatham Select Board meeting. Please note it's June 15th. We are at the Chatham Annex. The board is meeting together. This meeting is being recorded and will be available shortly hereafter for scheduled and on-demand viewing on any smartphone or tablet device. If anyone is recording the meeting, please notify me. As I said, this is the Chatham Select Board's first meeting. We just want to welcome the entire board together and our town manager, Jill Goldsmith. Our meeting is being brought to you to watch and participate through a variety of venues. If you tuned in early, Mark shared a review of the new venue. I do want to acknowledge Channel 18's team, media coordinator Mark Van Broek and assistant media coordinator Dallas Heller, in addition to helping create our new large annex room design with expanded microphones and cameras and presentation components. Tonight and going forward, they will be managing and directing 3 separate platforms for us to view and participate. Our live in-person meeting, Channel 18 for viewing, and Teams application for remote participation. I would like to say to Mark and Dallas, thank you for a job well done, and bear with the board as we navigate and adjust to our new normal. So every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for. A reminder that persons who would like to listen to this meeting while in progress may do so by calling the phone number 1-508-945-44110. 10, conference ID 134-208-476#, or join the meeting online via Microsoft Teams through the link in the posted agenda. While this is a live broadcast and simulcast on Channel 18 and through the Teams app, despite our best efforts, we may not be able to provide for real-time access. And we will post a record of this meeting on the town's website as soon as possible. So, welcome, board. Nice to see your faces. This is just a reminder to the board only to have your mics. You can have your mics muted until you speak, and also to apparently because it has feedback, and also the same for the remote participants. Please mute your mics until you're called on. So tonight, our first order of business is to accept the meeting minutes of June 8th, 2021. And I get to look at you all and see who wants to make the first motion. Peter?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that we accept the June 8th, 2021 minutes.
Thank you. And a second. I see Board Member Duncan's raised his hand.
Second.
Okay, any edits or substantive comments? Dean?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just one on page 12. The first full paragraph, which begins, "It was noted." After the first sentence, which ends with the phrase "local preference," I'd like to insert a comma and the following language, and that a development of only one unit could not have local preference, period. I'll repeat that, comma, and that a development of only one unit could not have local preference, period. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean. Any other comments? Okay. Okay, all those in favor of the meeting minutes, say aye.
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 All those opposed? That was fabulous. All right. Okay. Just a little review of our meeting tonight. We're going to have some public announcements and agenda item requests. Then we are not going to have a coronavirus update tonight. We will move to public comments of our business agenda items, which are short but substantive tonight. Special one-day alcohol permit, consider request for sales on town property, extension of the beach transfer station stickers, our annual town meeting follow-up discussion, and then reappointments to boards and committees. So I do have one public announcement for everybody. Just as a reminder, Thursday, June 17th is our town election being held at the Community Center at 702 Main Street from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Are there any, go ahead, Corey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On behalf of the Independence Day Parade Committee, I'd like to read the following. Honored Select Board members, on behalf of the Independence Day Parade Committee, I would like to thank you for your leadership over this trying past year. We all know how treasured of a tradition the Independence Day Parade is to the town of Chatham. The decision to cancel last year was a tough one for sure, but ultimately the right decision. Your willingness to stay flexible this year and pivot with the changing state guidance to reinstate the parade after originally canceling it is very much appreciated by the committee and the town in general. Our theme this year for, quote, Chatham from sheltering in place by the sea to celebrating a new beginning, unquote, is certainly a representation of not only what the town in general has had to do over the past 15 months, but specifically what you as a leadership of the town has had to do. As such, the Independence Day Parade Committee would like to invite you to participate in this year's parade and continue to show the town how, quote, sheltering, quote, unquote, has led us to the new beginning. Sincerely, Justin Bohannon, Chair of the Independence Day Parade Committee.
Thank you, Corey. I think that's a wonderful sentiment from them, and we appreciate that. I hope everybody will participate, and we'll maybe have a little more details on how we're going to do that going forward. Any other public announcements? Peter?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This has to do with the reappointment agenda. I request that we delay the airport committee votes, and it's not a judgment on whether it's a yes or a no vote on the individuals. It's a highly visible and well-documented, they have well-documented responsibility for the airport and the town, and I feel it would be best to interview them. The only other comment I'll make is that if they're not really it's different doing it here. They're not really in a committee that has, they have responsibility to the town and to us. And I think since they are a commission, we should re-interview them just like we do the Board of Health. Thank you.
Okay. Dean, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have 3 items. The first is that I'm going to be requesting an agenda item regarding the Council on Aging follow-up to the action by town meeting, but I'm going to defer making that request until we get to the town meeting post-mortem portion of this meeting. Secondly, I want to acknowledge and commend Chuck Bartlett, who conducted his last meeting yesterday as the chair of the Water and Sewer Advisory Committee, on which he's served for many, many years. And of course, he's been with the sewer project from the very beginning. And he has a well-deserved retirement from the committee, and the town will miss his services. And lastly, without making any assumptions about the future, I want to take this occasion to commend you, Madam Chair, for your excellent management of the board during these past 2 years, including the conduct of these meetings, and especially given the very challenging period of the last 14 months that we've gone through. I don't think anyone could have done a better job. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean. Thank you. Thank you. It's much appreciated. Okay. Now we'll turn to the remote participants to see if anybody has a public announcement or agenda item request. Just like as we've conducted the Teams apps meetings for the last 18 months, you can either, 18 months, 15 months. You can either raise your hand, I will see it in the, I have my computer open, or you can speak out if you're on the phone. And you can do that at this time. Okay, I see Carolyn McClellan. Go ahead, Carolyn, welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate you calling on me and giving me an opportunity to speak. So I did want to mention, I had a lot of questions after the town meeting, but I've been on the phone talking with a lot of people, and I think I got most of that sorted out and confident we have a plan moving forward. But there is one issue I wanted to address, and I'm speaking as chair of the Community Housing Partnership. We've not convened to discuss this, but I feel it's my obligation in that role. I'm also speaking as someone who lives in affordable housing and as a resident. So during the town meeting, Selectman Nixtrano used the word ghetto to describe capital A neighborhoods, saying if we didn't allow attainable developments, all of our affordable neighborhoods would be ghettos. Selectman Nixtrano is a very intelligent and extremely well-educated man. I'm sure he has an extensive vocabulary from which to choose words from to construct a descriptive sentence. And yet he chose the word ghetto. I've not heard that word in years.
Carolyn, I do have to stop you right now because
Sure.
this is the public announcements and agenda item requests. This isn't a time that we can really take something like this on. So I think I need to put you on hold for now.
Okay, no problem. I thought I could address things that happened in town meeting.
That's during that's during the public comment period. I know there's some confusion sometimes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Madam
As-
Chair,
Yes, go ahead.
I would like to state a correction, if I
Sure.
might, at this point, because.
You want to do it now, Dean, or do you?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, because I think some people may not be on the meeting later on.
Okay, go
I
ahead.
think she was referring to me. I don't think she got my names correctly. I did not call housing developments, affordable housing developments, ghetto. I said, when people were talking about the issue of attainable housing, that it would be a good idea to have mixed housing units so that we didn't ghettoize a particular category, namely affordable housing. I thought it would be that attainable housing mixed together with affordable housing would be an appropriate way going forward, because people were attacking the concept of funding attainable housing. That's what I said. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, so Carolyn, I know you may want to respond back to that. I don't want to get into this right now. I accepted Dean's comment as a speak, but we are going to, we do have public comment period in the agenda in just a few minutes if you just want to hold on.
Okay, I'm sorry, I misunderstood that process.
Okay, all right. Anybody else that would like, from the remote participants, would like to make an agenda item request or a public announcement? That's not a public comment on the meeting.
Madam Chair?
Yes, go ahead. Is that Herb?
Yes, it is.
Go right ahead.
I'm just wondering if there is any way to show our appreciation to all of the people behind the scenes who have made these remote meetings possible. It's so wonderful that we've been able to keep the town moving. I'd love to see some form of appreciation. Thank you.
Thank you, Herb. I did, in my opening statements, acknowledge Channel 18 and thank them for a job well done. So I appreciate the supported comments. Okay. Anybody else for public comments? Public announcements, agenda item requests. Okay. And we don't hear any more. Then we're going to go on to. This is the period of public comments of a business agenda. And again, I'm going to reiterate what they are. Special one-day alcohol permit application, consider request for sales on town property and one-day entertainment license, extension of beach transfer station stickers expiring June 30th, our annual town meeting follow-up discussion, successes, challenges, and next steps, and reappointments to boards and commissions. So this is the remote participation period time where people may speak and on any of those items. So please raise your hand in the Teams app, or you can speak out by phone. Okay, I see one. Carolyn.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. And my apologies for speaking at the wrong time, and my apologies to Dean for not being able to pronounce his last name properly. I watched it several times, and we can talk whether you said ghetto neighborhoods or ghettoizing. Both of those terms are offensive. I have not heard them for years. That kind of language is divisive and incendiary, not to mention how offensive it is to the people of color in our community, as well as anyone living in or in need of affordable housing. I guess I'd ask Dean what that word means to him and why he chose to use it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other public comments on agenda items? Please raise your hand. Any of the remote participants by phone, please raise your hand. Please speak out. Okay. I'm not hearing any, so we're.
Madam,
Go ahead.
Madam Chair, this is Jen Falvey with Chatham Threadworks of
Yes,
the alcohol.
you're going to be coming up in just a moment, okay?
Oh, I'm sorry.
And you'll have an opportunity to speak during that because you're the applicant.
Thank you.
Okay, which is right about now. So our first order of business is a special one-day alcohol permit application from Chatham Threadworks. It looks like we have a multitude of days. There's an application for 8 special one-day alcohol permits for wine and malt beverages only for service at 400 Main Street on the following dates. And these look like they're out June 26th, and the rest are the following Mondays, July 5th, 12th, 26th, August 2nd, 9th, 16th, and 23. This permit does require approval by the local licensing authority, which is us. Is there anything that you would like to share with us, Jen?
Sure. So they are for the Mondays on Main. The one that is on the 26th, unfortunately, I'm bringing small women-owned businesses in, and they could not do a Mondays on Main, so that is why it's on a Saturday. It is a baby clothing, baby shower themed vendors. Hence, we're starting at 10 a.m. as that was what the moms we pooled thought was a good time to start. I would just be serving mimosas on that day, not the wine, and it would be in the little small plastic containers. I am the one serving. I'm the one in control. My staff would be helping others, shop and what have you. And everyone, I do know that it's just not for all of 400 Main. It is just for my shop at Chatham Threadworks, and everything must be consumed in my shop at Chatham Threadworks.
Okay, thank you. I think we have a question from one of the select board members, Jeff Dykens. Go ahead, Jeff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Hi, Jen. I just had a question on that one date, 6/26, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And I think you've answered. I just didn't know what wine and prosecco would be doing for folks at 10 a.m. to 2. But mimosa, I guess, is appropriate. So you've answered my question. Thank you.
Are there any other questions from the board? Peter.
Yes, I will. And
Go ahead.
offer an motion.
Yep.
I move to approve the special one-day alcohol permits for wine and malt beverages only to Jen Falvey as a representative of Chatham Threadworks for service at 400 Main Street on Saturday, June 26, 2021, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and on Mondays, July 5th, 12th, 26th, August 2nd, 9th, 16th, 23rd, 2021, from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Thank you, Peter. Do we have a second?
I'll second. I have a question, though.
Corey, and a question, Corey. Go ahead.
The applicant is aware that there are only 10 one-day licenses that would be issued for the year, and this would eat up 8 of them. So I just want to make sure they are well aware that come holiday, come we get later into the season with all the other events that are coming up, that they are aware this will use up 8 of their 10 allotments. I just want to make sure they're aware of that.
Yes, I am, and I didn't put in for the December one because I wasn't sure if we'd be having it. But yes, I am saving the other.
Nope, that's fine.
Great. All right.
Thank you.
We're going to take a vote, Jen. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? No. Okay, that was unanimous. Thank you, and good luck with the summer season. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Take care. All right, our second item tonight is consider request for sales on town property, a one-day entertainment license, Monomoy Community Services Annual Beach Party at Harding's Beach, June 18th, from 5 to 8:30. I'm really happy to hear this, Teresa. Welcome, and you want to give us a little update that the townie party is back.
Yes, the townie party is back. We're thrilled. We are working on it this year in conjunction with the schools, the fire department. A couple of local parents have also chipped in. So we're looking to hopefully have at least as many people attend. We usually have between 185 to 225, all outside. And the actual sales that we're requesting the permit for are it's what's happening is we've had food donated that is going to be used by, I believe it's this year's junior class, will be selling the food to offset their costs for their trip next year to New York City. So it's kind of cycling back around. It's not going to be a financial benefit to Monomoy or basically to anyone except the families that will then have a lower cost for their New York City class trip next year.
Okay. Are there any questions from the board for Teresa?
I gotta recuse.
Corey, go ahead.
I'm just going to recuse myself from this. While I am extremely supportive of this, it's my son's class that's going to benefit from the fundraising, and I know they're going to be flipping burgers and whatever that day. So I look forward to the event, but I'm going to hush my mouth for the moment.
Okay, Corey. Peter, you had a question.
More comment, Madam Chair. Thank you. I just want to comment on the organization and what an excellent job they do. And when I was first here, I was involved with organizations that were associated with them. It just COVID just shows how important Monomoy Services is, and also what an excellent organization it is and how well organized. I just can't say enough. You did a super job. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Jeff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In that light, hi, Teresa, how are you?
Hi, Jeff.
You do a great job, you know that. I'd like to move to grant a one-day entertainment permit to Teresa Malone on behalf of Monomoy Community Services for Friday, June 18th, 2021, for outdoor amplified music from 5 to 8:30 p.m. at Hardings Beach.
Okay, we'll take that vote first. Is there a second? Second. And,
Second.
Okay, Peter seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. All, okay.
Madam
One-
Chair?
And yes,
Madam
go
Chair, I
ahead.
move to grant permission for food vendors contracted by Monomoy Community Services to vend at Hardings Beach on Friday, June 18th, 2021, from 5 to 8:30 p.m.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we'll take a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and we have one abstention. All right, great. I'm not sure where I'm looking right now. I see you in three different
see you.
places right now, Teresa. Thank you, congratulations, and yes, you do a fabulous job, and it's going to be a lot of smiley faces. It's supposed to be a nice day.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope. Thank you so much.
All
I
right.
appreciate it.
Okay, great. All right, we are going to now, our next is the annual town meeting follow-up and discussion. Oh, no, it's the extension of the beach stickers and transfer station stickers expiring June 30th through 2021 through July 30th, 2021. I think Dr. Duncanson was going to give us a little update on that. Bob?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Similar to last year when COVID hit and we closed town offices, we did all sticker transactions by mail, and because of the mail situation and the volume that we received last year, there was a delay in getting some of those stickers out, and so we requested and the board granted an extension of the stickers for that year through July 31st instead of expiring on June 30th. In a similar situation this year, as the board is well aware, we just reopened town offices yesterday to the public, so a lot of transactions were being done by mail. In addition, this year we started a new online system for residents to acquire their beach dump and recycling stickers. In speaking with the sticker department on pretty much a daily basis, including yesterday, we are still getting a significant number of mail-in applications. Probably over 50% of our residents are availing themselves of the mail-in application as opposed to doing it online for various reasons. You know, they don't like to do online transactions, they don't have internet access, they don't want to give their credit card information, whatever. In addition to that, in speaking with the staff yesterday for the first day of the in-person transactions, those transactions are going slower than we would have hoped. And it appeared yesterday to be primarily just a computer issue. They spoke with the vendor who indicated that their transactions were slow as well. And it was taking 5 to 6, 7 minutes to process one transaction, where in prior years, we were able to complete an in-person transaction much more quickly. So with that, and recognizing we're already at the middle of June, and beach and transfer station stickers would expire at the end of June, I'm recommending that again this year we extend the deadline for the 2021 stickers through July 31st, just to give folks a little bit more time, to give us time more to process the backlog. And as everyone knows, the mail is still slower than it used to be. It can take upwards of 10 days to get a letter sent to somebody locally, because now all mail on the Cape is going all the way from the Cape to Providence, Rhode Island, and back again. And so my recommendation to you is that we extend the 2021 beach transfer, recycling, and combination stickers for basically a month until the end of July. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, any questions for Dr. Bob or a motion to? Any questions?
Madam Chair?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I move that the expiration date for 2021 combination transfer station beach and recycling stickers be extended until July 31st, 2021.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Jeff?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Bob, there's arguably no impact on revenues, I would gather. And are the applications this year any different than what we saw last year, or even, I guess, most comparably to the year before?
No, there's no impact on revenue, because obviously if you had a transfer station sticker, you need to get a new one.
Yep.
Unless you decide for whatever reason. So we don't, just like last year, we don't foresee any change to the revenue. We did see a drop in recycling stickers last year, but that honestly was more tied to the increase in the stickers going from $5 to $35. Other than that, we didn't see any impact, and actually we saw a slight uptick in the number of beach stickers. In terms of the applications, the printed application is exactly the same as it's been in previous years. The online application is a little bit different, but pretty much mirrors what the printed application has.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Kind of our going up on the recycling fees kind of argues against, and the lack of decrease kind of argues against what we're trying to accomplish. So I wouldn't mind revisiting that at some point. But anyway, thank you, Bob. It's helpful.
Okay, if there's no other comments, we'll take a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the ayes have it. Right, thanks.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you very much. Okay, now we're going to look to the annual town meeting follow-up. I'm just going to, basically, if Jill wants to do a debrief and then the board, I just want to say that a big thank you to everybody that showed up in the adverse weather that we were having on Saturday. It was, and then especially to those who showed back up on Sunday. Jill, do you have any comments, any stats or data you want to share with us on town meeting?
What I have is all unofficial, so we have the unofficial results posted in the scorecard, and that's on Town Meeting Central. And until the town clerk is available to do the recorded votes and the proof of the votes, it's still unofficial, but we checked it, so it pretty much is as is. And then at one time, it looked like we had almost 700 people there, so I'll get those official numbers too. Right now, the clerk's office is prepping for the election on Thursday, and we'll get the certified votes out so we can get it over to Rep. Peake's office for the legislation to be filed as well. So I just want to thank Team DPW. We had a lot of help setting up, as well as the school department, and breaking down on Sunday afternoon. And so it's just many volunteers too that just decided to stay and help. So we really want to thank the participants and the voters, and that's all.
Thank you. Yes, it was big thanks to all the departments that were part of the process, and to the child care team, and to enable younger families to participate. So I don't know how you want to begin this. I thought it would be best just to go down the row, and any comments, and we can start it. And if you feel to have a free-forming conversation about it, that would be helpful. And anybody that wants to go first, if they want to go first, they may. Go ahead, Dean.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I attended the meeting, or participated in the meeting on Monday of the Council on Aging Board. And the members of that board had a significant number of comments and observations regarding the result of the Article 15 dealing with the new senior center. And I posited the suggestion that we should, after a brief period of time to let things settle down a bit, consider having a joint meeting with the with the Select Board and the full membership of the Council on Aging Board, including the liaison from the Friends of the Council on Aging, to discuss where we might go from here. No one really has, among these members, a keen sense of exactly what form the future activity and options should take, but they thought that we should at least have an open discussion with the Select Board. And so the Council voted unanimously 7-0 with all members present to have a joint meeting, and they would like to have it in person, if possible, with the members of the Select Board. So I'm hoping that when we get to the point where we can have others in the room here, that we can have this meeting. I think it would be a good stepping off place to take a look at where we go with the Senior Center project. Obviously, there was a lot of disappointment that the article, even though it carried a majority vote, didn't achieve the 2/3, and they understand fully the inadequacy of the current building and are interested in some sort of remediation for the issues that they are dealing with. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any other comments on any of the other articles at all, Dean? Okay, Peter?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll take a little bit longer, just get it pulled out. Annual town meeting is always a learning experience, no matter which time it is. And there's some, you have some wins and you have some losses, which is, the way it goes. I just basically on basics, I've heard this said among members of the board as we were walking out and other times. We passed the budget. We did extremely well as far as how the town is going to operate. We passed a school budget. There wasn't any concern there. There were a number of things. So, the fundamental basics of the town were carried out pretty well. There were issues, and I'm just going to, focus. By the way, infrastructure was also well handled, I think, and that's good to know. There are a couple of, I'll talk a little bit about affordable housing. Dean, in a way, I may have only a few things to say about the Council on Aging, only because I think what he said is a good idea. But in any case, on affordable housing and cases, there's a lot of, if you listen to what was being said, and we're in it, and a number of the people out there get to see it maybe once in a while or a little bit. There's always this problem, and I noticed this in the planning board, of what you're doing and then what it really means to the people. And I'm just going to say this is a general thought. I thought we were doing pretty well doing outreach. And outreach is a typical word. We have to go out and make sure that, and how that's done is another question, how they understand what we're doing. And also, we were limited by the fact that we couldn't have a briefing on either the COA and affordable housing. So, affordable housing. West Chatham, I think, was one of my priorities. And also ways to fund. West Chatham, it was sort of a win. There was an issue about, who we were going to buy it from. But it was clear to us ahead of time that there was one person who spoke only for that piece of property. Also a win are all of the numbers of petitions to the legislature. And as we just saw today, the transfer fee has a following all through the state. And we weren't so far out aggressive as I thought we were, but we still are in a way. And there were a lot of good words. I didn't read the whole legislation. I just read the fact sheet, which was, I thought, fine. We fit right within that fact sheet. Middle Road. Middle Road is a disappointment, and I understand what a number of people were saying. You know, it's near a conservation area. It's near a pond. But there are a lot of things over there that are. I'm not trying to argue with the argument now. It is what it is. But this piece of property for us to consider for the town has been identified for affordable housing since 2007. So, I don't have an answer, but what do we do with it? If this is the kind of pushback we're going to get all the time because of its location near a conservation area, you know, what do we do? And there are a couple of options that you could come up with. And please, I could hear the social media clicking on it way because I'm going to say we can keep it the way it is, do nothing. We might consider trying to sell it to someone that's a conservation group. And the reason I say that, it's not a decision, it's just a thought. The reason I say that is it's identified for the last 14 years for affordable housing. And if it can't be used for that, we ought to get something back so we can go out and get it, because it's going to cost us plenty to go try and get property for affordable housing. Let's see. I wanted to just say a word about affordability. Two more things. Affordable and attainable housing and what was being said and the impression I received, and also on the real estate tax exemption. Okay, on affordable and attainable housing, there was a lot of discussion about subsidies and why should we subsidize a certain group of people or whatever. There was a discussion that this is affordable and we have this high group of high rollers that can pay for their own, or they should. My thought on that whole issue is attainable housing was called attainable housing because the way the law is written, you can only have, quote, affordable housing up to a certain level. And, you know, we go into it's AMI and it's 100% of AMI. It's up to a certain income level and the number of people that are. Attainable just recognizes the fact that's not good enough because of the skewed market that we're in. The housing market is so high, you have decent salaries, and there's no way you can combine the two, so people leave. And to say you have a choice to make that you can, you know, take care of your family and go somewhere else to do it, that's fine. But the town has a choice to make. And the town has a choice to decide whether or not it wants to have young folks here that are making decent salaries but leave because there is no way they can affordably live here. So attainable housing just says, hey, and I said it at the meeting, $640,000 house, you need $163,000 to be able to get in it. You know, back when, you know, 5 years ago or whatever it was, you might have been able to get into it at $100,000. The point is, that's what we're addressing. The other part is, I am very concerned about supply and how we do it. We have such a problem. We've lost so many younger citizens that our ability to help build this community depends on housing supply. And it was said, I think correctly, you can't build yourself out of this. You can't. But what we were doing is focusing on, and what we called it aggressive, a way to get more supply. And I hate to use this kind of an example. You know, if you have the roof that's coming down and it's raining and there's a big hole in one part of it and there's a small one in the other, it makes no sense to put all your focus on a small one and not take care of the big one. I know you. So in any case, that's it. Now the residential tax exemption. The sense of town meeting was, to me, not that they would be against it. To me, it was against that petition. The way that petition was written to me is it said, we advise the Board of Selectmen. It's good up to that point, you know? And then it gets directive. It says a 20% exemption when the law allows from 10 to 35. Then goes on to say, you'll never underline never, go below 20%. There was no explanation as to why, no facts and figures as to why. To me, town meeting did not have the right information to be able to make a decision, and they made the right decision. What I'm going, I did it last year, and Madam Chair, and I'm going to do it again, is ask for an agenda item. And last year, we had a full agenda item on the residential tax exemption. I have with me the minutes from that meeting and the staff report. That staff report was 12 pages long. I won't argue for or against it now. Every year it changes. The Board of Selectmen are required. It's their responsibility. It's our responsibility, and we're held accountable for what the tax rate is. And there are 4 areas, not to get into it. So my point is, before you can make an informed decision on whether or not it's good for the town, is to be able to look at this law. It is not simple. It's complex. It has all kinds of issues that are involved with it, and I won't go through all of them. You could look at the August 27 minutes and see what was done last year. It's going to be different this year because the numbers change. So I think that's an important figure. There are, no doubt, there are people that are going to benefit that really need it. But there are people that are going to benefit up to $2 million that maybe not need it. And that's something you have to consider. And I guess I talked enough.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. I just want to make some comments just now, and if you don't mind, Jeff and Corey, since we're at this end of the room. On Article 18, the 1533 and 0 Main Street, I just want to add some perspective to our process there, because I'm not sure with the events that happened at town meeting, people understood where we were and how we got there. And I was part of, the people that were negotiating and reporting back to you, the board, and to the trust since last January, when the estate reps responded to our request for proposal for land for affordable and attainable housing. Our conversations with the family representatives, including those interested in carving out the 20,000 square feet parcel along the way, we had conversations with everybody. They were cooperative, and we negotiated in good faith and with sensitivity to the process that the family was going through. Before June 10th, we were well aware of the pending litigation relevant to the Buckley estate, and we were advised by the counsel for the personal representatives of the state that the signatories to the offer to purchase do have the legal authority to initiate the proceedings for the sale. Our goal in that article was to get authorization to move forward, obviously, under the conditions of the agreement when the property became available. And we did that. When I emailed to a reporter who was made aware of some of the issues of the family, we said we were dealing with the estate representatives, and we're hopeful and confident that the pending issues with the estate would be fully resolved, in the time frame that we were contemplating for the offer to purchase, which we signed, and pending purchase and sale agreement. All these things are still, negotiations in progress. What happened at town meeting was really heartfelt and uncomfortable for everybody, and. But it wasn't our doing. It was a family matter that was brought to the public at a time when we were in good faith doing what we thought was the best for the town. So I just wanted to make that pretty clear. I also wanted to speak a little bit to the COA, how deeply disappointed I felt in the vote. It was a majority vote. We couldn't get to 2/3. We know the majority of the town wants to it. I'm not, we're seeing this on all levels. Where 2/3 votes are very difficult to get to. I want to make sure that everybody understands also that Cape Cod Times reported on somebody saying that this was an ill-conceived, half-baked design. And I was really glad to have the journalist clarify that the project received extensive review and changes since the project was kicked off in 2016, well before my time as a board member. So it was just, we along the way, engaged the community in this process. And we had community outreach presentations. I don't think we should ever go to town meeting ever again without having a presentation made to that body on the project, and have some frequently asked question handouts or something that are available, because there were a lot of things that could be said, and the way that the meeting is, it is the townspeople's meeting. We were just not getting the opportunity as we were going along for the Q&A sort of feedback. There was a lot here. It was a big discussion. So I look forward to Dean's suggestion. I think it's an excellent idea. I know you mentioned it right after the next day at the town meeting. I'm glad that you had the conversation with the Council on Aging, and I'm hopeful that we can move forward with a new site very soon. Go ahead, Dean.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for bringing that up again. I neglected to add the magic request that we make that an agenda item.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think it was duly noted, though. As far as the Middle Road for Housing, Article 19, I really wish that the last-minute advocacy against the article began during earlier in our discussion process. I think that we could have gotten more information out. Again, I think having a presentation at town meeting would have been helpful, and it would have maybe dissuaded some of the fears of clear cutting, and we were putting the housing project in there without any vetting from the community, when in fact we were just asking for a redesignation, which, if the neighborhood, if the neighborhood is interested in pursuing that avenue, I'd like it if they come forward to us and have a conversation, so we can have a community conversation. Because if they do, and it goes back to town meeting, they're going to be held to the same scrutiny in that 2/3 vote. And that 2/3 vote is a difficult vote to get. So I just wanted to say that. Other than the lengthiness of the meeting, and which I know is due to COVID, I did appreciate all the work that everybody did and put in. I thought, there's a lot of divisiveness out there, and our town meeting is a place, an opportunity to listen and to be open to process. I was hoping we'd see more of a flavor of that at this town meeting, but we didn't have it as much as I had wished for. And those are my comments. So I'll just turn it over to the next person. Corey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. No, just some general comments. I mean, town meeting, there's always highs and lows, ups and downs. It was a good town meeting, a little bit longer than we would have liked, but it was a good town meeting. Council of Aging, certainly disappointed in. I was asked by a reporter actually yesterday, should 1610 come back with a different design? I mean, I worked on the design committee, the last design group that, for that site, and I think we had a very viable design for that location. So bringing back another design for that location makes absolutely no sense. And I'm certainly reluctant to start inserting, all the various previous locations and going through the same conversations that we've had in the past. I think, having the meeting as suggested by Selectman Nicastro with the COA and there's representatives, and maybe taking a different approach, stepping back a little bit, taking a different approach is going to be healthy for the process. The COA needs a new facility. We just got to figure out how we get there from here. A lot of speakers spoke on affordable and attainable housing and their support of it. It's clearly a matter of location. And I think we're going to have to do a lot of public outreach and get public input moving forward over the next several months and years, et cetera, because we have an urgency. We've had an urgency for a long time. And from my personal perspective, I know we've been stuck around 5% of the inventory for affordable housing, and we were supposed to have that 10% goal for, big capital A. Certainly, endorsing moving forward with big A, but little a is also just as important to me. But we have a lot of work to do, and we're going to have to do it from a various perspective of angles. And I think we're going to have to at some point reach out and do like a private-public partnership, because I think it's going to be a valuable tool for us. Just from a timing perspective, it's something we're really going to have some discussions on, because the town alone can't tackle this project. I think we accept that. You know, the middle row discussion, I think my take back on that is, you know, there was, you know, last minute involvement and concerns of certain, you know, groups and parties. When we are faced with a situation like that moving forward and we have a topic that we're going to bring forward to town meeting, not only do I want to make sure that we have the opportunity for the public to come in and speak and ask questions, but I'm kind of the opinion we maybe ratchet it up a little bit and actually go out and kind of really reach out to, you know, the various neighborhoods, groups, and whatever, to really, you know, inquire and really force the issue. And you know, we want to hear from you. You want to address the concerns. So I learned a lot about process from this town meeting. You know, I hope I'm still here in this dais, you know, in another week. But I think we have a lot of work to do as a group. I think this group works very well together. And I think, you know, taking some reflection on the town meeting and what happened and comments that were said, we can get back on track and address these very significant issues for the community. You know, because certainly we have other ones coming down the road, more capital projects to consider, and whatever have you. But, you know, town meeting was a good meeting, a lot to reflect on. I'm not going to play Monday morning quarterback, but we got to move forward, and this is a simple reality. And I think we have the tools to do that, and I think we have the energy to do that, and we just got to fine tune our resources, and we'll be successful. We're going to keep our heads up high and move forward. So thank you.
Corey, I really agree with you with the neighborhood engagement piece. I think it's key to the outreach and going forward. I think building consensus around projects is better served as we lead up to town meeting versus as we get there. So, Jeff, any thoughts, comments?
My mind is blank.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. I think I've been to every town meeting since 1976. I may not have hit the first few, 76, 77, 78 in that era because I was fishing all the time. But you know, this one was one of the most different town meetings I've been to in terms of both the outcome and the process and the feeling. I came away somewhat heartened that our 33 or 32 million, call it $40 million budget was passed without a comment, that our $8.5 million regional school budget was passed without a comment, our capital budget was passed without a comment as well, no, not a question. I think that speaks loudly and resoundingly for the confidence the public has in this team and in Jill and her team. So I want to thank everybody that showed up, number one, especially on Saturday and Sunday. I think it's a testimony to dedicated citizenry. I was extremely disappointed in the vote on the senior center. We have scoured this town for locations. We have asked for private RFPs. We have examined on at least 2, if not 3 occasions, every single piece of property the town owns in this wonderful town, and we have come up with that piece of property in a new village center that had been donated to the town, and yet, while it received a majority, it did not receive a 2/3 majority, and 2/3 is very difficult to achieve. We have to go into these votes that require monies. You need a ballot question vote for money. We got to really, really attack if we want something, because we can't assume that we're going to get 2/3. 2/3 is tough. We've got a significant majority, but we were 95 to 100 votes away from getting 2/3. That's a lot. I wonder if there was more options to extend voting availability and rights, if you will, to those shut-ins that we have in Chatham that we extended our COVID response to that perhaps didn't get to town meeting. I don't know about early voting or ballots on items. I don't know what other towns do, but I was frustrated knowing that perhaps we had 95 to 100 votes out there and they weren't at that town meeting. And the weather was bad to start on Saturday, so that I think that did affect some turnout, although I thought folks that came in late, it was really encouraging to see folks really come in when they kind of figured out that it wasn't going to rain, it wasn't going to be inclement. But I was deeply disappointed in that vote. I was also deeply disappointed in the process surrounding that vote. We had many speakers that spoke with hyperbole and misinformation and we let it hang. And I, as a selectman, am disappointed that I myself let it hang out there, because we had experts sitting there Rick Pomeroy and Joel Bargman were there to counter the hyperbole about the cost of that project and how they were heightened and how it was going to be $10 and $11 million, and we didn't say anything. And we didn't ask them to say anything. And I kind of tried, and I couldn't get the attentions of the folks that I wanted to get the attention from. So, and I had talked to the moderator prior to the meeting saying, we have experts here. If in fact we come to cost discussions, perhaps we ought to ask our experts. So I was disappointed in that, and I was disappointed in that I didn't stand up and say, hey, wait a second, we've got experts here that can counter some of this stuff. To say that that project was not well-planned and thought out is just, it's otherworldly to me. That was the most studied, well-thought-out project that I think we've ever presented to this town. And I've been here for the fire station and for the annex and for the DPW and, all of them. And that project was well vetted. We looked at stepping stones, on and on and on. But 2/3 is tough, and that's the takeaway. 2/3 is tough, and if we're going to go for 2/3, we got to go for it. Middle road. I'm dumbstruck that a solar array to the east and a housing development to the west wasn't enough to shake these people up. To clear cut that land in the same general area in the watershed for a solar array, and those people, we didn't hear a word from those people. And yet, when we want to do affordable and attainable housing in the town of Chatham, we hear from the folks. I get it. It's a beautiful forest. I get it. But where were they? So, to Corey's point, and spot on, and Shireen, you're spot on. Outreach. If there's sentiment out there that this is totally inappropriate to be in this forest, gosh, I wish I'd have heard about that 4 months ago. Because we had a long and large debate with the folks that are advocates for affordable housing on that piece of property. So honestly, and that was a late-breaking dynamic that I frankly wasn't even aware of until I saw the signs and wondered who it was. Well, we should have known. I mean, and so Corey's point's well made, and so is yours, Madam Chairman, that we should have heard about that sentiment out there prior to that meeting, because that was unfortunate. That's an opportunity lost. Again, speaking up during the meeting, I wanted to stand up and respond that, of course we're not going to tie into the town sewer. It's right across the street. What do you think? Of course we are. That would be in the plan. If we developed a plan there, that would be it. And that could still be a viable watershed, even if we have apartments there or townhouses, whatever we decided to do. It could still be a watershed. The water's going to still drain. It's still going to, refresh the aquifer, et cetera, and we'll use the wastewater plant. But I don't know. That just kind of got lost in the shuffle. I was grading while I was sitting there. So I have an issue with how the process works at town meeting with respect to the Board of Selectmen's voice. We read the motions, and then we're done. And we had a discussion with the moderator prior to having town meeting whether it was okay to sit there and raise our hand and be recognized, and he said it was fine. We didn't have to get down in the line. Well, as it turned out, I should have got down in the line if I wanted to speak, because I wasn't recognized, and I was frustrated by that. Moderator does a great job. Do not get me wrong. He does a great job and has done a great job for years in this town. And it's a very difficult job. But he goes to the Finance Committee, they get their vote, and they give a reason for their vote. I think that it should come back to the Board of Selectmen and get a reason for our vote. And we can pick one person to speak. I would have loved to have spoken to the transfer fee. I never got a chance to speak to it, even though I had told the moderator that I would like to. So I think in terms of process, it's, especially on major issues of controversy, even after the town has spoken, I think it's okay for the selectmen to speak again. And I hear there are folks out there saying that they don't think it's appropriate for the selectmen to speak. Well, we're voters in this town as well. And if I feel strongly and passionately about an issue that I think that needs clarification, I want the chance to speak to it. So I didn't like the process in this particular town meeting. I think in years past, we have had more opportunity to speak, and I think we have gone down to the microphone and gotten in line, and think that maybe that's what we ought to do if we feel strongly about an issue. I did want to speak to the resident, non-resident. I did speak to the petitioner himself after the meeting and some other Chatham citizens, and I echo Peter Kokolis's sentiments. I'm not sure the town voted against the concept rather than the 20% and the stricture of that petition. I also think we need to revisit other models of where there might be relief for residents versus non-residents. A lot of the southeastern states and southern states give a little abatement on the overall assessment. It's another way of giving some relief rather than a more complicated 20%, 15 to 35%. So it's an advisory vote. I get it, but I think, the folks in 365, really kind of deserve a better airing. When Julie and I arrived in town, that would have meant something to us. A few $100 meant a lot. So anyway, that's what I have to say.
Okay, Jeff, well said. I totally agree on the process piece of the how our voice was lost in the process this time, and I know, as you said, there are people out there that feel that it's not appropriate for us to speak, but we are voters as well, and again, I think a lot of it is keying up the presentations and making sure that happens. Jeff and then Corey. Jeff then Dean.
To your point about the presentations, it's critical. I think it's a critical point, and we lost that ability being outside. We lost it because we could have put a visual on Middle Road up there and say, look, guys, this is what we're talking about. Wastewater treatment plants right across the street. The watershed isn't going to be ruined. If we were to develop, we'd only develop here. But anyway, that's what I have to say. I was deeply disappointed by the result of the town meeting. Thanks.
Okay, Dean.
A couple of things, Madam Chair. I think it should be noted that select board members have spoken at town meetings for many, many years. I think part of the problem was that we were outside and the meeting was very disjointed in terms of setup. There was no better way to set it up. I'm not knocking that. But I did mention that to the members of the Council on Aging Board. I think that had some bearing on the result on the senior center article. But with respect to the residential tax exemption, I appreciate the reading or the interpretation that both Jeff and Peter took from it. I'm not sure I take the same interpretation. I took that as an expression by 60% of town meeting that they don't want a residential tax exemption. Now, it's going to come back on our agenda apparently at Peter's request, and that's fine. We can talk about it. It has to come up every year when the assessors make their presentation on the tax rate. I was puzzled, I have to tell you, by the lack of any expression of a position by the Summer Residence Advisory Committee. It's their constituency that is going to be most affected by that type of an arrangement, and yet they were silent at town meeting even though they have the right to speak. And lastly, if you'll permit me, Madam Chair, since Ms. McCollin spoke, I'd like to exercise a point of personal privilege because she spoke a second time, and I did not have a chance to respond to her full comments, if I might.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. The use of the word ghettoization, that's the word I used, was made by me in the context of the article that I sponsored to allow funding of affordable and attainable housing from CPA funds. An article that she stood up, and I'm grateful to her for supporting. But there were speakers that were challenging the expenditure of those funds for attainable housing. In fact, that challenge was raised, I think, in the context of other articles. To me, and I think anyone who understands language, and I spent much of my life teaching language, the word ghettoization is a form of stigmatization in the context of housing. And the point I was making was that I did not want to see those who occupy affordable housing stigmatized. That's what I was saying. Let's have the opportunity for mixed housing. And lastly, I'll just say, I would have appreciated it if Ms. McClellan had contacted me directly after town meeting with her concerns, as do many of our townspeople on a regular basis, almost daily, as they contact all of us with any concerns they have. She chose to bring it up in the public announcement section, and so be it. People can judge for themselves why she chose that course instead of contacting me. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Dean. Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, I'll be quick, I promise.
Yeah.
Just a comment on the COA. I made the motion on the COA. The understanding I had, but this was sort of at the beginning, that if you look at the article, you have someone who provides the motion, and you have someone that speaks to the statement. And Jill was the one that was in the statement. Prior to the meeting, they had discussions, and the moderator indicated that Jill didn't have to make that, and that one of us could speak. And I was expecting to speak right after, I made the motion, sort of like I did on Middle Road. It didn't happen. There were a lot of things going on at the time. However, the moderator did come over to me afterwards, after I talked to him a little bit, and I said I didn't speak to COA on the statement part. And he indicated I thought I did. I said, no, you didn't. So that's when he recognized me. And I received a number of calls, and I saw the emails that were there on the Board of Selectmen speaking too much. And also, someone stood up at the town meeting just as a point of orders. Why is the Board of Selectmen speaking? As I said, that's all I said, and I'm with Jeff. I wish I stood up. In my case, it's a little difficult yet. Another couple of months, I'll be able to get up quickly, but it's a little difficult, and the moderator understood that. And the idea of we had experts there could speak directly to the issues of and Jeff called it right, hyperbole around, that were not asked. We're not taken. And I remember I thought at the end of my comments, because I said it quickly, though, and I regret that I didn't take time to do something more, is that I asked that maybe Dr. Duncanson speak to water, and that we had the architect here and possibly speak. That's water over the dam. I get it. I don't have a problem with that. But others said to me, just to be balanced so everyone understands, you guys didn't speak enough. You didn't speak enough. So, okay, that's why we're here, and I understand that. But I just like to say that I will not give up my ability as a taxpayer to be able to speak at town meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we have strategies to deal with on our next town meeting and to discuss as a board how we go about our process. I think that's important. I think maybe it will change up if it's inside, but I agree. I mean, speaking on Article 18, it was the same thing. I made the motion and then just quickly stood up so I'd be recognized. Okay, so the other, these are all good comments. The other thing that I wanted to put as an agenda item request is continuing to the next steps on 127 Old Harbor Road, and also the Housing Trust. We should probably, if we have a chance to bundle up like we did before, some of these items in coordination and continue the conversation. I think it'll be helpful for the public to know what those next steps are. Is there any other comments on the town meeting? Dean?
Yeah, thank you. Since you brought up 127, that obviously is going to come to us at some point because there's a statute that governs the role of the board in that regard, and then the role of town meeting. As the moderator inquired of the petitioner about whether there was a fiscal note, I think it would be helpful to the select board if, when it does come to us, we have some information about, what is the plan that is contemplated and what would the cost be. I think that would be an important piece of information for us to have when we do follow up on this.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Any other comments? Anything else? Go ahead, Jill.
Just one last thing, Madam Chair. We will be inside at our next town meeting, and we will have presentations and get back to how it was before the pandemic. So I agree. I hadn't heard much feedback about it just in the last couple of days, but as I was sitting there observing And also the setup was a little challenging because I actually had to get up to walk back to the moderator. Normally I can just catch his attention and any of you too. So I think once we return back to the in-person, I think that will help us out a lot. And then with COVID behind us, having our workshop meetings, our special meetings where we can talk about, we tried to do it electronically for the warrant articles, and we had the show that was on Channel 18, but not everyone watches that, we understand. So getting back to those charrettes or those targeted meetings where people can walk up and see the plans. And I know we did that at the park for the COA with the consultants there, but it was windy, it was challenging. So I definitely took notes of what everybody said.
Madam Chair?
Yes,
I just
Dean.
had one comment about the moderator from where I was sitting, battling flying ants, among other things, so I'm glad we're going inside next time. I think it was difficult for the moderator. It was a real challenge for him to keep his eyes on what was going on all around him. It wasn't as it is when we are in the gymnasium and we're all along the same panel. And he also was challenged, I think, in terms of being able to hear people. And I think he did a great job with both, but I do think we should recognize that that's what he was up against. So recognizing people was a little harder, I think, for the moderator this time than the business of recognizing people when we're in the gymnasium.
Thanks, Dean. Jeff?
Yeah, I don't want anybody to construe my comments as a hit on the moderator. However, I do think that, and this is a topic of some discussion, I would hope that after the Finance Committee gives their vote and their comments, that in fact we could bake into the process a return to the selectmen that don't have to be overly verbose. We don't have to comment on every issue, but it would be a good idea to have the selectmen's position articulated. A lot of people don't watch Channel 18. They don't keep up with our meetings. They do come to town meeting and they vote, and perhaps they could be better informed about what the selectmen truly think about an issue if we comment on it.
Yes, I noticed that with the COA articles for some reason. It was, there was substantive comment from the Finance Committee, and we didn't have anything. So it was kind of an interesting process there.
At least timely, excuse me.
Yeah,
It
timing.
just wasn't timely.
Yeah, timely. All right, well, hopefully we won't have like a huge 62 article town meeting.
Right.
Okay, and yes, appreciate the work that the moderator did at town meeting. It was a different setup for sure. Any other comments? If not, we'll move on to our last agenda item, which is the appointments and reappointments of new candidates and current committee members who are seeking.
Is there are the public going to be able to comment?
Barbara, comment period was well ahead of the discussion. It was right after the, sorry, I don't have my agenda item right now. It was right after the public announcements. Barbara, we're going to have a follow-up with the COA and an upcoming upcoming meeting, and we hope to invite everybody for more feedback on what happened and what our next steps are. Okay? All right, we're going to move on. So, Peter, you wanted to take out of the discussion the Airport Commission.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Do you want to give us a little explanation?
Delay that to another time. We have only a couple of weeks, but I think we could still do that, mainly because they're an important committee, like our regulatory committees. I'm sorry. I'll remember to put it on. Yes, Madam Chair. Let me try again. That we do delay our vote on the Airport Commission, and I think it's important that we re-interview them just like we do other commissions. I understand they're not a regulatory commission, and we've been usually for a reappointment, unless we have a problem, just continue that. But in this case, I think it makes sense to just delay it and interview them. Thank you.
So I guess we could just do a consensus whether everybody feels comfortable or not with that. And if there's any objection, we'll take a vote.
I'm okay with it, with delaying. I don't think it's the delay or the interviews is likely to change how I'm going to vote. I mean, I could vote tonight, but
Okay.
I'm certainly willing to defer to Selectman, to Board Member Kokolas's request myself.
Okay. Any other? Jeff and Corey.
Yeah, as am I. I buy the argument that it rises to the same level as our other regulatory boards, and it's important to touch base, so I accept it.
Okay, Corey.
I mean, I'll defer to Peter's wishes as a liaison to the airport commission. I'll defer to that. I mean, I don't think it's going to change my position, but I have no problem with a delay. I respect that.
Okay.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
And I understand that, and I don't want it to be a judgment on how anybody would vote or where we were thinking of right now. Just, I see a lot of public input concerning it, concerning the commission, and I think discussion is warranted. That's it.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we're going to do the Summer Residence Advisory Committee. We have 4 vacancies for terms to June 30th, 2024, and 2 vacancies for associate members to June 30th, 2022. We have 6 members, 6 vacancies. Those members are Michael Waters, he's a current member seeking reappointment. John O'Toole, current member seeking reappointment. George Myers, current associate member seeking reappointment. Jill McDonald is a current member seeking reappointment as an associate member. And Robin Laportio is a new candidate who interviewed on June 1st, 2021. She also interviewed for the Independence Day Committee and the Cultural Council. So, saying all that, anybody want to move to appoint?
Madam Chair?
Yes, go ahead, Dean.
I'll try to, I have some questions, and I don't know if Shauna is on the call, but I'll try to deal with the ones that are obvious. I move to appoint Michael Waters to the Summer Residence Advisory Committee until June 30th, 2024, unless sooner revoked or a successor is appointed.
Second.
Okay. Do we have any other appointments for that position? I don't think we have to go through that, do we?
I think we're supposed to.
Okay. Do we have any other appointments for that position?
No.
Okay. So let's, all those in favor of Michael Waters, current member seeking reappointment for the Summer Residence Advisory Committee, June 30th, 2024, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. So that all the ayes have it. All right, next.
Madam Chair? I move to appoint John O'Toole to the Summer Residence Advisory Committee until June 30th, 2024, unless sooner revoked or a successor is appointed.
Okay, any,
Second.
second? Okay, any other appointments for that position? If not, we'll take a vote on John O'Toole. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and the ayes have it. Go ahead.
Madam Chair? I move to appoint George Myers to the Summer Residence Advisory Committee until June 30th, 2024, unless sooner revoked or a successor is appointed. So this would be an elevation from associate member to regular member because one of the regular members wants to drop down, and we'll come to her in a moment.
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Any other appointments for this position? Hearing none, all those in favor of George Myers, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that was unanimous. Go ahead.
Madam Chair, I move to appoint Robin Laportio to the Summer Residence Advisory Committee until June 30th, 2024, unless sooner revoked or a successor is appointed. So she's a new applicant, but there's an opening among the full membership, so I move to put her in that position.
Second.
We have a second. Any other appointments for that position? Seeing none, hearing none, seeing none. I'm still looking at teams. Hearing none. All those in favor of Robin Laportio for this position, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's unanimous. Okay, go ahead.
And Madam Chair, I move to appoint Jill McDonald to the Summer Residence Advisory Committee as an associate member until June 30th, 2022, unless sooner revoked or a successor is appointed.
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Okay, and that's the last candidate. I thought there were 6. There was only 5. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 All right, great. Thank you. All right, so we're going to forego the Airport Commission until a later date. We have the Independence Day Committee. We have 1 vacancy for June 30th, 2022. One vacancy for June 30th, 2024. We have Rob Stefanik, new candidate, interviewed May 25th, 2021, who also interviewed for the Airport Commission, North Beach Advisory Committee, Shellfish Advisory Committee. We also have Robin Laportio, a new candidate who interviewed June 1st, 2021. She also, and has just been appointed to the Summer Residence Advisory Committee, and she also interviewed for the Cultural Council. So, do we have any nominations or nominations to appoint? Corey?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to appoint Rob Stefanik to the Independence Day Parade Committee until June 30, 2022, unless sooner revoked or a successor is appointed.
Second.
And we have a second, okay? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that was unanimous. Okay, another nomination.
I want to make a nomination, and if a little clarification, if I may.
Sure.
I'm going to move to appoint Robin Laportio to the Independence Day Parade Committee until June 30, 2022, unless sooner revoked or a successor is appointed. I do recall during the interview, she was really focused on serving on one committee, and we disappointed her to the Summer Residency Committee. But I think mechanically, if we were to support her and she decided to decline, it's an option. But I would like to just present her an option and let it go from there.
Any objections to that? Okay, so that was a nomination. A second?
Second.
Okay,
Madam Chair,
yes, go
it
ahead.
says one vacancy to June 30th, 2024, but the motion is 22. So did we
Oh,
do the first one to 24 for Rob Stefanik?
yeah.
We should correct that.
Okay, and do you want to make an amendment to the first appointment?
I move to appoint Rob Stefanik to the Independence Day Parade Committee until June 30th, 2024, unless sooner revoked or a successor is appointed.
Nice catch.
In a second? Okay, let's take a vote again. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all right, all right. Back to Robin Laportio. Did we have a second on that?
Second.
Okay, let's take a vote on that. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, okay, that was unanimous. All right, it is not even 7 o'clock. I think that's a world record for the last 15 months. Did we have anything else we're discussing tonight?
No, this.
That was it.
I think this is super, Madam Chair.
Okay, I think we're going to bring up our schedule next week, is that?
Yes, Madam Chair, the summer schedule, if the board's interested in doing that.
Okay,
And then also, we have the election on Thursday, and then following the election on Friday morning at 9 a.m. at the town hall, we're going to have the swearing in of the new members and the reorganization of the select board.
okay, and everybody can be present. Okay, great. All right, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you. All right, well, good night, Chatham, and have a good evening.